coming into this, like, you were like, I want to say this while I'm talking to Nick.
I don't really think so. I think one aspect of our particular contract, the CPCD or the Campaign Plans and Capability Development, particularly the capability development side of the House, we're being really, really impacted by the current administration and the DOGE reform that's happening.
Yeah.
So right now, the DoD is completely redoing the way that they want to communicate requirements. And so we're kind of working through that now of trying to figure out how we can continue to communicate Transcom's like top needs across the Joint Force and to Congress and everybody like that. So that's, I would say, one of the biggest challenges that's happening right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of worth talking about.
So one thing that I've never was good at was, so when we built the business up, it really did start off as a strategy company, right? So what you're doing today is really at the root of this company. And then, little old me shows up and I start building technology solutions inside of a strategy company. And at the time, I didn't really appreciate that what you do, especially what you do in particular, has an impact on me as a technology guy. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but next year,
Right.
the year after, the year after. And I think that's something that people don't understand is the planning you guys are doing is really setting the stage for folks like me to go execute. So just for a layman, right? So like, I don't understand 90% of what you do.
Okay.
And so, JSIDs and all these other acronyms get thrown around. But if you could boil it down to say like maybe a few components of what a campaign plan is, could you boil it down to like two or three parts and say like this leads to this, which leads to that, which then leads to these things? Or maybe it's not that easy.
So not necessarily for the campaign plan part of it, because that's the other like task area of the contract. But for the requirements piece of it, I can kind of walk you through like what that sort of looks like for us. So there is a Title 10 requirement that there is a list of what keeps a combatant commander up at night. So all of the combatant commands and the National Guard, they submit a 1 through 20 list of what their biggest issues are.
Okay.
Transcom, you can expect all of our stuff has to do with transportation, right? We're moving stuff, our airplanes, making sure our like SDDC and the Army, they can move all of their trains and the ports are all good and everything like that. So on an annual basis, we make this list. That list rolls up to the Joint Force. So all of the heads of the forces, they see what's going on, they see the needs, and then that goes to Congress. And then currently what's about to get released is the NDAA, or the National Defense Authorization Act. So like the big defense budget is informed by that list.
Okay.
So what we say now and what we work on now impacts the budgets for the next like 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
And so we're just like continuing to fight for Transcom's needs and making sure that like our 4-star has all the information that he needs to try to get the money from Congress and the services. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's kind of like the cycle that we go through. And then it's like just continually fighting for the funding to keep Transcom going.
So, you talked a little bit about there's like a list, right?
Yep.
The list that keeps the commander up. Partly, I'm sure, there's a reason why we have a 4-star general in charge and he or she has gone through a lot of different things in their career. But at the end of the day, they're only here for a 2 or 3 year span at a time, typically. And so it's incumbent upon them to lean on all the folks that are there all the time. How do you guys know what should keep the commander up at night to be able to make recommendations?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's really where the consistency of like having the civilian force that's in Transcom, like the deputy directors. So each of the like 1 or 2-star directors for each thing, like J4, 5, and J3 and whatnot, they'll have their general and then they'll have like the civilian under them. Those people have been there for like 10, 15 years.
Sure.
So that's kind of like that continuity, and all of the subject matter experts in the command kind of bring that continuity between each of like our commanders and continue to communicate those same needs. And it's also helpful that Transcom, we're asking for like billions upon billions of dollars for things. And so those aren't really going anywhere. It's kind of the same problems from year to year. So that makes it a little easier for them.
Are there problems though that have popped up, let's just say in the last, couple of years? For instance, we took on the global fuel, mission, I guess you could say, for the entire Department of War. But I think maybe a little sexier topic might be space. How have you guys really kind of tapped into what we might need to go to space and transport maybe suborbitally and things like that? Or there's some of that going on right now?
There is, yeah. So we have a couple, I actually sit right next to them. We have a couple of folks from the Space Force, and we have some dedicated space subject matter experts. And we're still in the point of like outlining what those requirements look like. Like, how could Transcom use space? What would we put up there? What do we need? Like, how long does it stay up there? How do we get it down? Who could we like partner with to get up there? So they're still outlining a lot of that. But we're tied very closely. I think once they have an idea of what we can do, it'll go through the formal process of us trying to get the money, and my team will be more involved with it. But for now, they're still ironing out.
Still trying to figure it out. Yeah. But I will say, I mean, I think I remember it 3 or 4 years ago, they got the mission given to them of transportation of supplies and other things to and from space will all be gone through U.S. Transcom. So it's a pretty exciting mission to try to solve for sure.
Yeah, definitely unique.
Yeah. So I'm going to roll it back a little bit because I'm curious, I think you started out as a government intern.
I did.
Is that true?
I did.
So how did you get into that pipeline, and what was that kind of job in the beginning?
Yeah, so I was a graduate assistant when I was working on my master's at SIUE, and the professor that I had a friend who was running that intern program, and it was one of those like you just happen to know a guy who knows a guy, and I just wanted to kind of expand my horizons and do something because at that point I still didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grew up, so I was just kind of taking what I could. So I started working as an intern, and then eventually ended up working at SDDC. I got like a GS like 7911 like step thing.
Yep.
But COVID completely ruined what that job was supposed to be. And so I ended up working from home on spreadsheets all day, and I hated my life. And so when something at UNCOMN opened up, I came over here, and it was pretty much like, not to be dismissive of it, but kind of the first thing that I could take to like get out of that current situation.
Well, yeah,
And then one thing led to another, and now I'm here. I'm doing this job, which I absolutely love, and it all worked out well.
Yeah. So you talked about you were getting your MBA.
Yep.
What was your bachelor's in?
So my bachelor's was in computer management and information systems.
CMIS.
And then my master's was actually in instructional design. So it's in education.
Wow. Yeah.
Kind of went, again, kind of off the wall because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But
so CMIS at SIUE?
CMIS, yep.
Oh, so we had a lot of the same probably professors and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a few years ahead of you, but I also graduated from that department.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Did not stay around to get my master's, but definitely understand like Dr. Powell and.
I was going to say her name. Yeah, that's so funny.
She's the continuity from when I was there. Several of the older folks have left, but she's still around, and I'm sure she's getting close to retirement.
I would think so, but yeah, she's great. Good people.
It was so funny side joke. And this is kind of how we do this. We can just talk about whatever, and they'll edit it all out. But so I, after a number of years of being away from SIUE, I reached out to them about their, it's kind of like a steering group to help them kind of learn from industry to figure out what they should teach the students. And so anyway, they were reaching out, we were signing up, and Dr. Powell, I started seeing her signatures on some emails, and then I ended up showing up to a meeting. And she walked over to introduce herself, which I already knew her, of course, but she didn't really necessarily remember me. And the reason why she didn't necessarily remember me was because I had a penchant for skipping class. And so her big thing, she caught me the next time around is she came back to me and she said, I can't remember what class it is. I take a picture at the end of the school, at the end of the semester of the entire class. And she goes, and after I talked to you, I went back to my pictures and I started going through the years that you were there to see you in the picture, and you weren't in the picture. And she's like, why weren't you in the picture? And I was like, well, ma'am, I apologize, but I skipped a lot of class. But, and then, it is what it is. But we had a good laugh about that.
So funny.
Did you have Sumner while you were there at all?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the name's familiar. I can't remember exactly what class.
Dr. Sumner, Mary Sumner. She's something else.
Yeah.
She's got a 1,000-person company in St. Louis now.
Oh, really?
It's called Sumner One.
Oh, yeah. I think I interviewed with them, actually. I think it was like right after she had maybe started that company. That was like one of the first interviews that I had.
Yeah, it's been around for a little while, but it was kind of on the DL. And then she really, when she pulled out of SIU, retired from SIUE, she went guns a-blazing, and that thing has exploded. They've done really,
awesome.
really well. Her sons are running it with her and stuff. So it's pretty cool. We had some neat people. I mean, Ralph Cordy just passed away not too long ago. He was a big contributor to the business department and CMIS. So
I don't think that people take logistics seriously enough, or sustainment seriously enough. These things will not just magically appear where you want them to appear. There's a lot of planning and movement and cost and place and everything that's associated with it. And so if I was queen for a day and I could make everybody care about that a little bit more, I think that would be the number one thing.
I think they cared a little bit more.
They're getting there now.
Right around COVID. People started understanding
harsh reality check.
that logistics was a big deal, but we're kind of getting back into our old ways a little bit, I think, right now.
I think currently, they're currently working on redoing the UCP missions right now. So the Unified Campaign Plans, I think is what that acronym is. I think whenever they redo that, there's going to be more of a focus on logistics. So hopefully that rollout will also kind of push everybody to taking it more seriously. Yeah.
I mean, I think we've always talked a little bit about it internally, but, I think one of probably the deciding factor that makes the U.S. military, the U.S. military is its logistics capability.
Yep.
I mean, there's no one in the world that can sustain potentially 3 to 4 wars at any given time.
Right.
Because we have the back end to do so.
Right.
And a big part of that people don't understand too is it's not necessarily military doing the moves. It's actually our industrial base that we've created tremendous relationships with over the years that are able to support us to get that mission done.
Yep.
Have you been able to kind of get out with the industry partners and stuff and kind of feel a little bit of what that it's like?
Not really.
Not really. No. That's love to see if I can help with that.
Yeah.
Because I think there's nothing better than going to like a carrier meeting, which we do host some of those every once in a while. I don't know how much they do it. We used to do it mainly because we're in war. We used to have one a week. Every week, J3 would host a meeting on the third deck, planning for what we were going to try to do the next week and so on and so forth. So they actually had carrier people that had to live here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And to be able to go to those meetings and everything and coordinate with the government. And then the other thing that they did was they ended up doing an industry liaison that got a badge and everything and was able to sit inside the J3 and coordinate across all the ocean carriers.
Yeah, that's very cool.
What was going on. So because there's only so many ships.
Yeah.
And so getting a feel for that is really neat.
Yeah.
Our work at Port of Long Beach, it was easy to step into that because a lot of us had that experience dealing with the transportation industry and had an appreciation for the complexity of the data and really the sensitivity of the data too. I guess I'm curious a little bit too, as you guys are planning future requirements. Obviously zero trust is here, things like that. Is that all rolled into one big requirement of we got to be secure, or do they break that down and it becomes like 3 or 4 or 5 different things?
It's like 3 to 5 different things, depending on like what carriers are using it, what type of systems like NIPR, SIPR, JWICs like that we're talking about, and hardening and strengthening each one of those and all the different communications. And then there's also stuff for like each of the specific, like a plane versus the ships, right? Yeah. Those all have different stuff. So those are all different requirements. So it's the same general like idea of we need to have protected communications and clear visibility of all of this data, but like separate it out into multiple requirements. Got it.
So you say you love what you do.
I do love what I do. Yep.
What is the main thing that makes you feel that way?
You guys, when you were talking with Wendy earlier, and I kind of overheard it all, I take a lot of pride, I think, in supporting the warfighter and knowing that we're having a positive impact and we're communicating things. And then from like a more like selfish aspect of it, I think it's really, really cool to be sitting in these meetings with the 4-star general, the 3-star, and like multiple 1 and 2 stars. And like there was a point last year right before General Van Ovos, the previous commander, left, where it was like 6 of us in a room at a table, and she was just talking so openly about what her concerns were and what she wanted to make sure she did before she left the command. And that is such a unique experience.
Yes.
To then carry that and to try to like make sure that we're still doing what we can to like put that into practice. And I take a lot of pride, and I think that's really cool. Like,
No, that is very cool. There was nothing like it when I went to my first ever briefing to a 2-star, and I had to go to his, office on the 3rd floor, and there's pomp and circumstance with regards to that. You stand up when he walks in the room, and you do not sit down until he sits down, and there's just different things that go about, when you're working with the military, especially general officers. And they have an incredible amount of stuff to offer you, insight that you don't normally get. Like you said, it's incredibly unique, and it is, it just gave me like a flashback. I wouldn't say it's PTSD, but it is a flashback to those days of being able to brief those generals and having those interactions. It's priceless. It really is. These are people that not only, achieved more than other people, but there's also a timing aspect, and I'm sure you being from a military family can kind of understand that, is that, it's not only doing the job and doing it excellently, but it's also, you got to have the right things line up for you to be able to get to that level. And to get there is just people. I don't think people really fully respect it like they should, maybe the generations past have done.
Yeah.
So I'll touch on one last thing before, I let you go, but circling back to that military family.
Yes.
Awesome military family. I'm guessing that has a little bit to do with the pride, because you're seeing
Probably.
what your dad had to go through for 20 plus years. All the work that he did to keep our planes in the air. You're playing your part now, and you're actually able to see and do things even at a higher level than he did. How is there? Can you talk a little bit about that or not? Like how that really touches those pride points?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've never really thought about it that way, but it is what that is and where that comes from. Yeah, having my dad deploy all the time growing up, especially like in that prime of like the 2000s, it means a lot now to like make sure that we're doing what we can to like make sure that those war fighters also come home and they can also do all this stuff, and they're prepared and they can continue to fight the good fight and do all of that. I like you said, I've never really thought about it before, but I think there is a lot of pride coming from that particular spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My dad, he was in the Air Force for a few years. They basically kicked him out. They didn't want him anymore. And then my grandpa was in the Army during World War II. He was in Big Red 1, prisoner of war for 18 months.
Oh, wow.
And so when I went to maybe do my duty, my dad immediately cut me and said, no, you will not go into the Air Force until you're graduated from college. And so circumstances being what they may, I never made it back to the recruiter's office, but this has been a way for me to give back, even though I don't have the direct experiences that you had, where your dad literally had to go to war. My dad did all his service before I was born, but I do. It does. It is. It's like and it's. I feel that through this company. We all are kind of aligned similarly, that we want to provide value and do whatever we can to help our country, get where we need to go, right? I think it's a terrific part of UNCOMN for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Kaylee. I appreciate it.